I wanted to address one of these troll tweets that I get from on Twitter. Um, it's from the USA Singers. It's Tuesday, October 27th, 2020, and sometimes they get compelled to come online and go to Twitter or to YouTube and to read comments because they have messages for me there. Sounds crazy, but that is how they do. That's how they communicate because they can't come outright and communicate like via text messages or any way that they can be traced or any kind of like way that will lead back to them. So it's always done in this trolling fashion through social media or through a movie. There's been a couple of times that I can think of off the top of my head where via a movie they'll look directly into the camera and they're speaking to you, and it's very soon after I've asked a question that pertains to whatever that movie scene is answering. There is the movie with Sandra Oh, where it's called Killing Eve, and I think in the second season that old Russian assassin lady looks into the camera and says, "But you destroyed your family, so you have no one to go back to." They're basically talking to me. That show is directed towards me because they're trying to say that I destroyed my family or something like that, which is a complete and utter lie. Um, what happened actually was they destroy your family. When you're a targeted individual, everything gets destroyed. Your career, your love, interest, or possibilities, your health, um, and they basically put a lot of actions into place to get me away from Los Angeles, which is where I'm from, away from my family. They killed my mother, who I was the most close with. Another pretend targeted individual said that, who's actually a perp, said that they do this to disconnect you from the person that's closest to your life, that you would get the most support from, that you love the deep most, and so they did that. They separated my sister and I. They made her like a psycho, like you, like a psycho Christian freak. And I'm an atheist, of course, thank goodness. And so many other things. And then they of course separated from all my friends and implanted all these bad thoughts about them. Um, you know, things made me think bad things about them, and just very methodical, done over decades. And then they try to blame you for it. They want you to feel bad about yourself. They want you to feel like it was your fault or something like that when it wasn't. When in fact, you have the potential to actually bring the entire family together. And I'm not going to go into that, but I did, and I would have, for not the gang stalking. I'm the type of person that whatever I put my mind to, I will do. I have that energy, I have that power, and so yeah, I don't believe it for 1 second, but that's what they do. They basically, these maggots, they talk to you via social media. Um, and anyway, so this tweet by the USA Singers, at the USA Singers. It was tweeted 35 minutes ago, and it says, "This song is dedicated to all fascists. When you're gone, we will be dot dot dot." And then in quotation marks says, "Dancing on your grave." And then it's like a YouTube video, hashtag dancing on your grave. And basically, when you click on it and you look at the well, funny how that is, but I just clicked on it again and to read the comments, and the comments are the actual tweet now says this is no longer, this is not available to you. So essentially, that was a gang stalking tweet, and now that I'm videotaping and actually was about to document it, it's gone. So, but I'll keep, you know, talking about my point. Basically, the comments were saying things like, "We can't wait till you're dead. We're going to dance on your grave." You know, yeah, we should make sure that we put salt on her grave so that whatever, she can't rise again or something like that. These are how stupid these people are. They believe in stuff like that, where they're like they believe in witchcraft and all that stuff. I mean, I think there might be something to energy and thoughts, and there might be something to that, but they take it a step further and are complete utter morons with astrology and witchcraft and sacred geometry, all this stuff. They get basically, if you don't have a critical thinking mind, you believe this one thing that is based not in any proof whatsoever. There might be some proof, like a circumstantial proof. For instance, there was this video, and you have to really be careful what you see, even from peer reviewed journals. Now I've discovered is, could all be lies. Um, Anything that's put out anymore could all be lies. I know that's very hard to believe, probably from, if you told me this in November, before November 2019, I would have looked at you like you were crazy. But it's true. And so, but anyways, so I saw this video where there was a light in a room, and the light worked randomly. The light had like this, the head of the light was mounted on a swivel, and it was programmed to swivel around this dark room spontaneously, and with no pre-programmed input about where it should hit which corner, what area. And it was just one square room, and there was a camera in there watching this light. And in one corner of this room, there was nothing else in this room except a plant. And essentially, the study showed that the light would randomly hit the plant more than any part of the room. And it's not necessarily proof of anything, but it was basically implying that the plant is alive and therefore wanted the light. I mean, I'm using my words, kind of, this is paraphrasing really. And therefore the light, even though it's not alive, and even though it's spontaneous and it's on some mechanical contraption that doesn't tell it where to go and how to turn, it's not the light head, it would land on the light. And I don't exactly remember what the guy said, but he said something like the universe is alive and it's conscious, even in plants. And so I thought that was very compelling, and there's probably a lot of information and knowledge that I don't know about that pertains to this kind of thing. But the problem with these morons like this USA Singers and the people that were commenting in this thread, this Twitter thread, is they take something like that and then sorry, they're just so stupid, it makes me laugh. Then they run with it. If you are anybody that has two brain cells to rub together and you're a critical thinker and you've been formally educated, or you've not been formally educated and you have read your little patootie off, books and books and books and books and books, even then, I would say that if you're not formally educated in critical thinking skills at a university that's designed around building your critical thinking skills, and there are universities that do that. There are majors that actually are built to build your critical thinking skills. And then even then you might have a problem, because I don't know about this. I'm going to say I don't know at all, but you might have a genetic propensity to be really, really apt to be superstitious. I'm beginning to think that there may be something to that. That no matter what, you have to believe in a higher power as a crutch, because it makes you feel good. And that it's, I have no idea, but if I had to guess, like that need, that desire to feel a higher power, to feel complete, to make you feel less afraid of death, to make you feel like bad people are going to get punished for doing bad things because there's this mythical god that's going to do it if they don't listen. These are the people that believe in astrology. They believe in I think one of the replies to this tweet by USA Singer said, like, the salt one is going to prevent the person from rising from the grave and being an angry spirit. I mean, these are the people that believe in this stuff, and they're easy to spot. I can tell you that right now. If I were to converse with them at any time, I don't care if it's over the phone, interpersonally, it would have to be in person. Like, we would have to have a dialogue going back and forth. Or if they make certain comments online, like it's pretty kind of apparent that they're I mean, for lack of a better word, idiots. Stupid, ignorant, whatever word you want to use. You can say ignorant, that's a nice way of saying it. But I say stupid because most of these people have access to information and are being willfully ignorant. And those kinds of people to me are stupid because they're being willfully ignorant. Case in point, one example is believing in God and Jesus in the Bible and then ignoring the phrases in the Bible that say that killing babies, innocent babies, is okay, raping women just for the fun of it is okay, um, killing a town full of people, genocide, is totally all right just because there's actually no reason given. These things are in the Bible, and people like willfully ignore that, and then go to their priest or go to some person who's also not a critical thinker, who's a bullshit artist, and basically a con man in some ridiculous garb, and then they tell them bullshit, and then because they're wearing that band with the white priest, whatever they're wearing the priestly clothes or whatever, they believe them, but don't use their brain to actually embrace that doubt. Embrace the doubt, because the doubt is your intuition, and your for those that have it, empathy, yelling out there's something wrong here. And even though this flies against my community and everything that I've learned my entire life and my fear of being wrong, I need to really look into this, because that's being intellectually honest, and all of that good stuff. So yeah, the USA Singers at the USA Singers basically tweeted this, and it's geared towards me. It's trolling. These people are like toddlers. They have like 2-year-old brains. They have no empathy. When you have no empathy, it gives you very, very poor frame of reference when it comes to judgment. If you look up what empathy and sympathy is, they're two separate things. But empathy gives you the ability to understand, almost feel what the other person is feeling, or imagine what another person is going through. If you can do that, can you imagine the perspective you might have over someone who does not have that ability? Sympathy is completely different. It's a little bit more. You try to understand. It's like you've never had that experience that they've had. Maybe they lost a loved one and you've never lost a loved one before, or maybe they got into a really bad car accident and have chronic pain and you've never had chronic pain. You're perfectly healthy. Sympathy is something where you would be like, oh, I feel bad for you, I'm sorry, but you don't really know what that feels like. Being an empathetic person, I don't think I'm the most empathetic person, but I think I'm pretty high, and I think a lot of that has been stripped away through all the trauma that I've been through. But I think I am very empathetic. It almost feels like you know exactly what they're going through. Almost. If you have gone through what they have gone through, then you do feel it. You feel bad, and you feel sad, and you feel not pity, but you feel along with them. And so if you can do that, and imagine all of the emotions, thoughts, judgments, perception, everything, just whatever adjective you want to insert there, of all that rushing into you, tied into your logic, tied into your frame of reference, tied into your critical thinking skills, you are one big, strong, robust thinking machine. I mean, I don't want to call it a superpower, but it just you're more evolved than this kind of maggot here, the USA Singers. You're more evolved than they are. You can see more. Only reason I say that is because you can see more. You have a larger, you don't have the horse, those black little blinders. It's wider. You can see things that they can't see. And it sounds very simplified when I say it now, but in everyday life, that kind of a thing happens all the time. I use this example all the time, and I'm sure my gang stalkers are so sick of it, but that's one of the reasons why I keep bringing it up. There was a book I read where women executives and men executives went into a meeting for a client, and the client, after the meeting, they came out, and she was like the VP or executive VP or some high-ranking executive, and asked the group of employees what the client thought about the advertising campaign and whatnot. And the guys were like, oh yeah, they're great, no problems, yada yada. And the women were not, I don't know exactly how I remember how it was explained in the book, but it was sort of like women were like, not their facial expressions, or it wasn't so overt, but they, and so the female executive said, well, I'm getting something like you don't think, you're not agreeing with the guy. And she was, it wasn't the guys against girls, but she was, it just so happened that she noticed that the women would have this reaction, this ability to, I don't know what the right word is, detect, feel, observe, evoke, whatever, insert adjective here, uh, um, a, a kind of, you know, conclusion about what happened that was different from the men. And she said it happened it was just like across the board, it just happened more often. And that was that the clients were not happy with the advertising campaign, and it was because the women could tell. I don't remember exactly, I'm going to paraphrase here, due to the fact that they, body language, micro expressions, maybe it was intuition, whatever you want to call it. um, I don't think that's necessarily something that's exclusive to women. I think that it is something that is exclusive to people who have empathy, who have compassion, wisdom. So maybe some people who are not high on the scale of empathy but have a lot of life experience and have been around a lot. And you have to be around a lot. Like you're like 50, 60, 70, and you've worked with all kinds of people all over the world and have seen every kind of person, and it's like you're really rare in that aspect. You're either that, I can imagine where that could happen, or you're very empathetic. And if you're very empathetic and that kind of a person, man, do you have an upper freaking hand. But you probably wouldn't be very happy or comfortable in business, or would be spit out, because if you're very empathetic, you're just kind of disgusted by business and people in general. So, all this to say, I'm going over here to the USA Singers at the USA Singers on Twitter, and they've got 53,000 tweets at this point, and they've got an upside down flag, which is on my banner, by the way. Again, they do subtle things to let you know that it is them. They're gang stalking you, and they are. I just took a screenshot of it. They are targeting you for this message, and there are real people behind this. It's not just bots. There are real people behind this. So it's some people in the network who are butthurt, for lack of a better word, butthurt. They're snowflakes. I irk you guys. I get under your skin like nobody's business. Besides that family member of yours that says some shit to you that just turns your head into like a steaming teapot. Besides them, people like me, someone like me, boy, oh boy, do we get under your skin. And it brings me pleasure. I didn't know this. I didn't know this until about, I don't know, like maybe a couple of months ago. I started noticing it. And then I started putting two and two together, how much I get under your skin, and how much what I say is right on the money, like hitting the nail on the head. Um, and that is, you guys are miserable. You guys are some miserable people. And I just, basically just right now wrote a tweet about it to reply to it. But here, I'll read it. No matter how you try to say that you are happy or rich or this and that to me, I know, and know is in capital letters. It's bullshit, because I've seen in capital letters that literally each and every one of you are quite miserable. Um, you've heard me talk about this before. I've laid out the most specific, like microsurgically specific examples of why I know you are quite miserable. At least um, every single person that you've had me come in contact with interpersonally, like face to face, and um, online, many times online too. I've seen the mask falling online, where what I'm saying to you, it shouldn't bother you, because if it wasn't true, it wouldn't bother you. But it rips a fucking hole in your chest, and you are pissed. And been other instances where I said some stuff about you, and then you'll do something to me. You'll hurt me, you'll torture me right at that moment or later that night, or you'll make me drop a glass, or I think I was cooking yesterday or today, and I was saying something about how I rejected all of you, all the gang stalking guys that you guys sent my way, and I inherently knew something was wrong with you and that you were losers or that you had no game. And then they sent a spider. I was cooking in the kitchen, and they sent a spider right next to me. And of course, that's happened, dozens of times now. The spider thing, where I either curse God or I say something you don't like, and then you send a spider like a few days later or the same day or something. And there was one today. It was after I think they thought I cursed God, but I didn't. So all these things, it's like a tapestry, right? One of the things that you do wouldn't probably tell me a lot about you, but it's one thread, one yarn that goes into this huge mosaic of, it's like a tapestry. And after a while you see the same threads, and then that thread connects with another thread, and it's consistent and chronic, consistent and chronic, and consistent and chronic. It's like a pattern that develops over time that paints a picture of what you are, what you don't like, what you want, who you are, that you're petty, that you are mostly hateful. The number one thing I would say is that you're hateful. You try to pretend that you're full of love, and that love is this, and I'm not loving, and you're. But in actuality, what it is you're full of hate, 100%. Because nothing that has any love would do anything that you do. Period. At the end of the sentence, there is no elaboration needed. Someone who rapes a woman, I would not say is a loving person. I would say that they were damaged and they were troubled, but I wouldn't say that they're loving. Someone who is a pedophile and rapes his own children, I wouldn't say is loving. I would say damaged goods. I would say hateful. I would have pity, like Paul Spector from the series The Fall, which is another series that was directed towards targeted individuals, or to me, where Dana Scully, and I forget her real name, Gillian Anderson, is looking straight into the camera, but she's speaking to me. Because I kept asking for many, many, many months, what is wrong with you? And how do you become the way that you become, you psychopaths? What the hell is wrong with you psychopaths? What happened? How did you get like that? I asked that question almost every day for months. And then they answered it in the series The Fall, with Gillian Anderson, with that one scene towards I think it was the season premiere of season 1, the last episode. She looks straight into the camera. It looks like she's speaking to you, and she says, "It's an addiction, just like anything else." So, enough of these experiences happen where as a gang stalker, along with a million other things, it shows that they're talking to you, and it becomes quite obvious. Regardless, I'm grateful to say that I know what you maggots are. I mean, I think for a while I wasn't sure, but now I know. I mean, every time I've had an experience with you, you guys are unhappy people. You're miserable. Or Elizabeth from Rom 3 Rehab, her son is like jacked up genetically, and she's just broken over it. So sad. Their family's so sad over it. She's a gang stalker. There's Lavina, who lives in Las Vegas, and is a horrible person. Just a disgraceful, disgusting person. I mean, whatever I did or said was always towards like bullies like you, or to misogynists, or to liars, or to greedy people who are thieving and cheating. And I always kept it online. I never said it to people's faces. I never yelled at anybody. I always thought to myself, that wouldn't be polite. As crazy as that might sound to you guys, I was like, you don't say that to people's faces. You try to keep that to yourself. And online, I was saying it to dirtbags who I saw do that. And then sometimes, very rarely, I would say that to people to their faces in real life if I thought they were a dirtbag. It's not like I was a coward or anything. I just was like, it was the more, don't say that, try not to say that to people, because that's rude. But online, I don't know. I thought it wasn't as rude. I guess I was wrong. I don't know. I'm not sure. The jury's still out on that. If I still see a misogynist online, or a bully, or a pedophile, I will rip them a new one online too. Do I think that's rude? I don't know. You decide. I don't think that's rude. I'm going to speak up when I want to speak up. But anyways, so yeah, Lavina, I think she barged into her son's home unannounced and tried to like drag him out or some shit like that. and she was very cruel to me. And just the idea of even pretending to be your friend for years and years and years. People who do that, like these are the people, you maggots do that and think like you're good people, versus people like me who has been gang stalked and tortured and sabotaged my whole life, and is more reactionary. It just blows my mind. Like the delusion you have is a border. That's why I say you're idiots and morons. It's literally like you're so stupid that you don't have the critical thinking skills and self-awareness to see the difference between someone who's reactionary and tortured and sabotaged and twisted around so many times that they themselves, that I did change. I became more misanthropic over decades because of what you did to me. But versus you, who have all these resources, all this information, all this money and ability to be better people, to try to find a better way, yet you do not choose to do that, and instead pull the wool over your own eyes and say, "Ah, I believe in God, hand raised to God. I'm godly, but I do these horrific, heinous, hateful things in the name of God or in the name of country, God and country, whatever your erroneous, deluded excuses are. You use those excuses to do horrific, psychopathic things, and that's what this USA Singers is. It's like one tiny fraction of my day where this person is saying, with this video that's saying, we're going to dance on your grave. They're all laughing and dancing on the grave, and it's geared towards me. That's fine. It bothers me less and less and less now, because this is what hateful people do to feel better about themselves. I can't imagine what it's like not to look at someone in pain and feel bad for them. There's It's a strange thing, but when you can do that fully, it not like you guys, where you guys are all damaged goods. You're missing that, or it's been taken away from you slowly and surely by the technology. If you don't think you're being manipulated and controlled by the technology yourself, you are an idiot. Anyways, to look at somebody and just feel their pain, and to feel that pain, feel their sorrow. It seems like it'd be a I can here's the thing. I can imagine what it might feel for you to think how that would be a burden. It's a beautiful thing. I can't explain it though. It's like, I'm thinking of my deaf teacher, sign language teacher back at Cerritos College, and she never heard music, and one day she came to class. Actually, this is a really interesting memory. One day she came to class, and she was such a beautiful woman. She was a really nice lady, and she was talking spontaneously about her husband and her, and she can't talk. She wasn't really talking. She was using sign language, and she was saying how her husband loves music and how she doesn't understand how beautiful it is. And you could see in that moment, when she was trying to relay that message to us, the class, that she was resentful, bitter, and angry. And I'm not going to really expound on this very much, but it was like she was jealous of the fact that he kept telling her that she doesn't understand and she never will. Almost like she was, I sensed, and she saw, and everyone else saw too. Not everyone else, because it got a little uncomfortable, and like some people were looking at each other, but she was she was jealous and bitter, and like that they had arguments over it, or they had disagreements over it. I know that's a lot to get from that one experience, but I'm telling you, that's what it was. And then when she was saying it, she's like, through sign language, she was like, he says it's the best thing ever and whatever. And she goes, I don't know, like whatever. Like that was the kind of what she signed. Like I don't know. It can't be that great. Something kind of like that. And that's what I imagine you guys to be. You've never, like, she's never heard music before. You've never felt real love before. You've never felt real deep emotion. If you feel any empathy or emotion on a scale of 1 to 10, you're probably like at a 1 or 2 or a 3. And it's also something like how my teacher, my deaf teacher, didn't have a frame of reference for what music was like. And she was so annoyed, like hurt, deeply hurt, that her husband kept telling her or told her that she will never know what it's like. And how she shrugged it off, but you could tell it hurt her very deeply. That's you guys to me. You are she's not defective because she had empathy, so much empathy, but you guys are defective because empathy is what, and real emotion and real compassion, that is something that is precious, and you will never have it. You are devoid of it. That's why when you sent Marco and Erwin and um, I don't know, some others my way, like all these loser guys my way to try to like seduce me, I knew something was wrong, and I'm doing a cross motion, like a cross, like a, with my index fingers, like stay away, like you're a vampire. I was like that to the guys that try to hit on me, and it was disgusting. I'm like, no way, you're a loser. In my brain, it's like the red light was going boop boop boop, get away, something's wrong. And that's what we can do. We have that power. Empathy has it. We can see right through you. It's like you're Casper the Ghost. So, anyways, yeah, this person, this maggot, the USA Singers, um, who has the tweet, the thread is no longer available to me, which sucks because I was going to read some of the comments. Yeah, check her out, him out. That's the delusion of it, is how unhappy you guys are. You try to act happy, but I've seen your lives. Um, and excuse me, I'm just burping because I had a lot to eat today, which is my day every day these days. I know you now. I know you guys, you maggots, intimately. And that brings me great pleasure knowing how empty, whoa, hold on, excuse me, hateful, and miserable you truly are. No BS here. There's no doubt in my mind now. There's no doubt in my mind. I mean, I just the other day I went to the smog check place on Telegraph or Broadway, right across from Sprouts. And I was talking to Brian and imagining just killing him where he stood, because he's a horrible human being, um, and also just like reveling at how he was lying and acting as we stood there, because he's basically hasn't fixed my car for 5 months and keeps saying that he can't fix it and can't fix it and can't fix it. He's one of the gang stalkers, and I'm sitting there watching him. Now I'm out of I've come out of my shock. I have had some experience, and I've been watching you do what you guys do. I've seen many of you have sought me out when I do go out, like Francisco when I went to go buy my gun and I couldn't get it. Francisco up north in NorCal, who rides horses, like Andalusian horses, and has like a construction business. Such a loser. Um, Interactions like that where you're trying to show me what great people you are. Sorry. He was like showing me, there's this episode of the show The Orville, where it's a sci-fi show. It's like a spin-off, not a spin-off, but it's like Star Trek, but it's goofy. And Gordon and the other guy, I forget the other name, Lamar, are sitting up front in one of the episodes. I think it's episode number 3, and they're having this scene where they're talking about how they would hate going to brunch with their family. It's a joke, but like one of them is like, "Oh, you know what would be worse than doing this? It would be like what would be worse is going to your brunch with your family after they come back from Florida with their best friends who just had a baby." I'm totally butchering it, but essentially, they're making fun of the fact of going out with family members and being forced to watch a slideshow of their life or a slideshow of their vacation or babies. And if you don't understand that pop culture reference, just Google it. I actually don't mind stuff like that. I think that's fun. I'm not such a fan of babies. They're not my thing. I like well-behaved kids. I don't like bratty kids like most of the kids these days. But there's very few babies that I actually like, but one will come across and I'll be like, wow, that's a cute baby, or that's a sweet baby, and I can only surmise that that baby actually has like good energy and maybe has empathy. I don't know. It's crazy. I might be sounding like one of these morons now, but anyways, so they're making a joke like that. Well, I'm in this line, this loser guy Francisco, who's a gang stalker, ends up in line behind me. This is all pre-planned. This has been planned. And he comes up behind me and he starts chatting me up. And at first I ignore him because I know he's a gang stalker. And finally he just starts talking to me. And then he starts, rattling off all these hobbies that he does that I like to do too. Of course, they're my passion, so it piques my interest. And then he pulls out his phone and he starts showing me pictures of his life. He started showing me pictures of his life, his kids, his horse, his business, pictures of selfies of himself. Like, selfies. Come on now. Do I have to tell you about selfies? I mean, just go watch Sebastian Maniscalco and on his bit on selfies. What are you doing? Like that part? I have never liked selfies. I don't like taking selfies. I think people who take selfies are just another species altogether. I don't understand the narcissism. Some narcissism, having some narcissistic traits is okay, but selfie after selfie after, I mean, that's just fucking narcissism, man. There's something wrong with you. You have no self-awareness. You're you're cuckoo, man. You're wacky. So anyways, he starts showing me these things and in these macho poses and like how great he is. I'm just sitting there watching him and like talking with him because I'm stuck in line with him and thinking what a moron he is, but like, just being congenial. And then at one point, he shows me a picture of his kids and like, then I innocently, totally innocently, I go, and where's the mom? Can I see the mom? Like, I wasn't trying to be catty. I mean, he was Hispanic and very stupid. Not He didn't have a high IQ, though he tried to pretend that he did, which came off as him being stupid. I don't know how. These are very specific examples, and unless you know what I'm talking about, because you can see this in people, you don't know what I'm talking about. You might think that I'm actually deluded. But and then I said, "Oh, where's the mom?" And he's Hispanic, and most Hispanic couples, they stay together because that Catholic bullshit. If you get married, it's a sin. Blah blah blah. And Hispanic women are very brainwashed. They're very maternal. They're very submissive. Guys like Matt Damon and Matthew McConaughey married Hispanic women for that cause. You see things like white men saying like Eastern European women are the best wives, or Filipino men are the best women are the best wives. A lot of my gang stalkers say those kinds of things, and it's because they're losers who can't handle strong women, or just normal women who feel empowered. Instead, they insult them, put them down, put their boot on their necks, and tell them they're not feminine or some stuff like that. But essentially, I said, going back to the story of loser Francisco, I said, "Where's the mom?" Like that, and I mean, the myriad of things that happened in a few seconds. He put the phone down, his body language, his shoulders hunched down, he slightly turned away from me, he looked down to the right and he furrowed his brow. He had this look of, if I had to name it, it was like a micro expression. It wasn't even a micro, it was a full-on expression of disgust and annoyance all at the same fucking time. And I gotta tell you, it brings me pleasure. It brings me pleasure because you are such miserable, despicable people. He sat there telling me about how rich he was, how much money he made. He was like tens and tens of thousands, how he had these fancy horses at this ranch, showing me. And then I just said a few words, completely innocently, the super curious person that I am. And I broke him in a second. And not even trying to. Not even trying to. That's what you call someone who's a psychopath, number one. Number two, full-on, full-blown malignant narcissist. Number three, complete and utter materialistic. And number four, piece of shit. Piece of shit. Like, if you can get broken down by someone like me who you say is so beneath you, and you always taunt me and say ha ha ha, this is one example of this. And just the fact that he was so annoyed that, and I wasn't trying to corner him or do anything, but he was like, his answer was like, "Oh, we're divorced, she's not around anymore." And like, he almost got angry that he had to explain it to me. Like, he was annoyed that I brought it up. He was kind of like, almost like it was like a competition, and I had brought something up that hurt him, and that he was angry that I did that. And it had nothing to do with that. That's see, and by the way, this is one example. This kind of thing, this kind of behavior runs through all of you. It runs through all of you. You like to cause what I did by accident, you like to do on purpose. You like to cause pain and bring up situations and things that are hurtful on purpose. And then you get joy out of it. Um, and that's it. And that's what you guys do. That your masks slip, and because everything's just like this weird competition for you. Everything's like you're a psychopath. Plus you have no empathy. Plus you're greedy. Plus you're deluded, and you're narcissistic. Those are really bad traits to mix together. That's like the perfect storm. That's why you are gang stalkers. That's why you are in this network. That's why all of the targeted individuals that you watch, and I know I'm not the only one, say the exact same things about you. The smart ones, we say that we come to the exact same conclusions about you, and we're all right. I might be separated from them, but I'm fucking right, and you know it, and now I know it. I know that you know that I know what you are. And it makes me laugh because no matter what you do to me, I now know what you are. You are pure hate. You are so jealous and envious of me in some ways, in the ways that count. And I irk you and push buttons in you the very few people can, by just telling the truth about you, by just hitting the fucking nail on the head about you. That's it. And that power is priceless. All the torture, me killing myself, me dying, you murdering me, whatever happens to me, you will never be able to take that power away from me. I have it. I Once you have it, you can't take away. It's like knowledge. Now I've seen the sun. I know it exists. You can't take that knowledge away. Um, so yeah, I just wanted to let you know that, USA singers. Go ahead, dance on my grave. I don't care. Do you think I care? I want to be dead. I mean, it's torture being around losers like you. And you make me laugh. I've only just used some examples. Oh, you guys, the examples I could share with you. So yeah, I'm gonna go grab myself a beer now and add to my little big fat beer belly that I'm having. I've gotten so chubby during this king stalking period since 2007, really. And I'll see you later. Toodles. Bye.